sorry, main primary goods. What was important at the time was the continuous movement inside this big and enormous land. They wanted to conquer and to have new lands and to go westward, because going west meant to get a new part of the land, and usually to build a farm, so become richer than staying in the city, and to try to have that, which was the American dream of becoming rich, of becoming owner of their own land, grown up what they could sell, and building a new society, a society which was had its foundlings on the pioneering westwards, even pioneering at large at sea, and building a new nation which was hostile towards the Indians, because obviously they occupied their lands, and so they had to be got rid of in order to build and to have the new farms. And in that moving, they also had wars against France, because the Canadian part was French, and against Spain because of the Mexican area, which was Spanish, and so hostile were started. New hostility outwards towards other countries, which so reflected themselves in Europe and inside, because in America they started to have hostility even between the northern part and the southern part, which was the word they had in order to get the freedom for slaves, and which was the first war of independence, when the northern states had the victory, and Lincoln could win the war. Pioneers wanted to get independence as well, and they were represented as curious people, as able people, especially by the writer of the time. All the writers of the time wanted to express the wilderness and this new spirit of conquering and of going outside and testing the characters and testing themselves. We find it in The Last of the Mohicans, for instance. They were lands were lands of immigrants, of heroes, of hunters, fighting against the Indians to get freedom, to get their women free, to become hero against an image of the Indians which was depicted as negative. The native Indians, who at first were so good to the first immigrants, started to be depicted in a very bad way, and they were dispossessed of their own land. They were described by all writers and all historic writers, as well as villains, as people with no charity for the others, just because they did not appreciate the diversity, the difference of their culture. So cultural diversity was not appreciated, was not liked. What united them was just that, because for the rest, we can say that America was very different. We had a northern part, northeast part, which was industrialized, which was full of cities, and had a Bostonian style. And in the south, the economy, on the contrary, was based on plantations of tobacco and of cotton, and people lived on the work of staying in their farms and having slaves, continuing to have slaves until Lincoln declared that slavery was not well appreciated, that all slaves could get free if they just decided to take up arms and enter the army, and have the war against the army of the South. So Lincoln was very important at the time, and he is considered not just an abolitionist, because he organized the Republican Party, and because he organized, he thought about abolition of slavery. He also organized a lot of new ways of organizing the northern area, and he was the first important president who really wanted to have equality before all the others before him. Sorry. Question of slavery. So he won the election just because he decided to abolish slavery. In the southern states, they did not appreciate it, and the Civil War exploded because they still wanted to have it, but the General Grant could win all the southern assaults, and so at last the Civil War ended with the abolition of slavery. That was very important, but that was also the reason why Lincoln was at last assassinated. He died, in fact, while he was in a theater. He was sitting in a theater and having a showing, and he was assassinated by an oppositionist. That was very bad episode for United States, and it was changed. However, it was presented in a different way to us, in a very different way, not in order to mystify it, but in order to make his death something which was very important for everyone and sublime for everyone, by a poet who was Walt Whitman and was an important poet. And I'm speaking about, but let's stop this video or else it's too much and it doesn't charge it.